Alright. Let's see, how do we start? How do we start? Alrighty. Welcome, those of you who are watching. Just thinking of what to send out into the world to check at the end of the stream. Let's see. One on here ever been prescribed medication? Do you think you ever get to stop taking it? Jackass Forever. Jesus. I didn't even know. Jackass Forever. Yeah, I guess I've seen the billboards. It's just weird that, like, I guess they still are making those movies, huh? I keep forgetting, like, these things are still happening despite, you know, everything. Those guys are old. I keep talking about how I'm old, but those guys are freaking old. Hope you have fun, Sora. Me and my boyfriend need some activities to do together for fun. Ah, date activities. In these current conditions, the current conditions, I guess you might need to be at least a little bit conscientious of being around others. That said, hikes are always a good option. This is the last one. I gotta watch it. Oh, Halo multiplayer, huh? That's kind of how I feel about Overwatch multiplayer. Bum and I got curb stomped last night, and it was... But then I played again this morning. I just played quick play as opposed to competitive, and it was a lot more fun, weirdly. So I don't know what it is. Why can't we be good and have fun, you know? Why is it that we have to, like, only have fun when we're not trying as hard? I guess if there was ever a game that would be friendly to a pad player on PC, Halo would be it. Quick play is for children. Yeah. It's tough out there, watching yourself fall down into bronze. Let's see. What do we recommend to these people who just want to hang out? Hikes are always a good option. Even camping, if you're feeling confident. Murder. It is a couples activity. Murders, bank heists. Lots of couples do crazy illegal things for some reason. Even camping if you're feeling confident. I think a lot of nature-based activities get overlooked quite a bit. And hey, isn't it winter? I don't know if that's really a couple's activity. That's more single man's activity. Not even a single woman's activity. Persona's not woman friendly. Not as the player, anyways. Why not go skiing? Boarding. I'll give them a Yeti. That seems appropriate here. Ice cream making. Is that a thing you do? I know they sell ice cream makers. Let's see. I've been so stressed juggling high school and college on top of an online relationship that's long distance. I know him well, but sometimes it's stressful because I want to give him all my attention, but I'm so busy with school, I don't feel like I have enough time for him. Pizza making's that's a thing. I feel like that's a little more attainable, especially because they practically sell you the crust pre-made. Let's see. Oh. It's good that you're keeping to your priorities. It's tricky given your circumstances, but the last thing you should do... Juggling high school and college? The sacrificing is your own personal life development. High school and college, so senior in high school then. Man, high schoolers having long distance online relationships, is that a thing? I guess so. It was kind of unthinkable when I was in high school, I feel like. Let's see. That said, maybe you should approach the pacing differently. If you're mostly busy, maybe just plan out milestones to hit later. Visits at periodic times of the year to kind of make up for the lulls in interaction. Is that a weird thing? Do high schoolers, like, if you got a long distance relationship as a high schooler, I mean, I guess they're going to be in college, so that's still kind of their call. I guess it's just weird to sort of recommend that. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to be there all the time. Something like that. We'll give them a boat to represent long distance. I feel like I'm not good at anything I try. Let's see. I think if anyone tries... Oh, enjoy your movie, Sora. If anyone tries anything for the first time, it'd be kind of weird for them to be good at it off the bat. Maybe consider why you try things and decide and think more about whether it's something you want to get good. Get good at. Hmm. I mean, this just sounds like low self-esteem situation. And consider why you try things, and think more about whether it's something you want to get good at. Feels a little shallow, but the request itself is very shallow too. Think more about whether it's something you want to get good at. That's the journey of trying new things, isn't it? Something like that. Fan of Fortune Girl. Yeah, no, it's a weird. I don't know. You could tell some of these people, they've got some kind of hang up. Vanna, were you in the chat before? I didn't get a first-time chatter notice for you. Just curious. Thanks for dropping by the way. Let's see. Told my parents I'm asexual, but they refuse to listen. No, you just got here? Well, welcome. I'm attempting to be a Kind's Words streamer, but we'll see how that goes. My mother simply says, you need to meet the right person and so on. It makes me feel disgusting. Why can't they admit that they simply don't know about such things? Interesting. Asexuality is a tricky one. The one and only, it seems. Yeah, honestly, Fan, I'm more surprised that people don't stream this game. It's a very like positive thing to exist, especially in the gaming space. I mean, technically it's not a game. It's almost like a advice column, but still. I feel like there should be a market for something like this. Let's see. S. I can sympathize spelling with your situation. I often have similar arguments with my own parents. I've only ever seen one other person stream this, but she doesn't do much streaming anymore. That's unfortunate. I mean, this game is like 2 years old, so it's weird, right? In the span of games in general, this one's pretty old. I'm happy to see that it's actually still active. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's society. There isn't the whole, like, people like drama. People don't necessarily like wholesomeness as much, but this is also a very, like, low-key kind of quiet game as well. You could still be positive without playing this, but I think it comes with a very, very specific requirement to be able to, you know, play this kind of game and answer things consistently. And I think if you're particularly young, it's a tough one. I often have similar arguments with my own parents, not over asexuality, but just our conflicting views on relationships. Let's see. It's unfortunate to say, but your parents probably didn't grow up with the awareness that such a thing could be possible for people. Now the problem here is just need to makes me feel disgusting. Why can't they admit your parents probably didn't grow up with the awareness that such a thing could be possible for people? The world changes a lot in a short time. Let's see. That said, if they're not trying to set up arranged marriages, you can just get by and try not to let what they say bother, character limit, bother you. Vanna, how do you get that dinosaur next to your name? This is the first time I've seen something like that. Because I thought like sub badges only appear for the channel they were given from. Try not to let what they say bother you. GlitchCon? Huh. I didn't know they offered stuff like that. That's pretty neat. Hope they understand when you're older. Twitch event that happened a year or two ago. Oh, that's right, because you register with your Twitch badge, or with your Twitch username. I think I saw something like that under the account settings. When I tell my mom about something a little frustrating, my significant other did. I like confiding in her sometimes. She will kind of bash him for no reason. I know he's not perfect and I agree that he should get a job, but is this really necessary? I just want support from her. Ooh. That's weirdly loaded. I agree that he should get a job. Oh boy. Alright, well let's see. Benefit of the doubt here, but let's... Sounds like she's just kind of... She's more concerned about why her mom does this. I believe as people get older, they have a more refined... what do we call it? Not a refined filter, but perspective on what makes people good relationship partners. It seems a little judgmental, but it comes from a place of having had those bad relationships themselves. It comes from a place of having those bad relationships themselves and being able to identify red flags. Let's see. No, he's not perfect and I agree he should get a job, but is this really necessary? Let's see. As an older person myself, I kind of relate though it might seem harsh at times. I think when you have that experience, you're less inclined to just think optimistically, because that's how you get burned in the first place. It's not really I don't know if this is really helpful to the person in question, but maybe it's just perspective. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing to give out. Nothing symbolizing angry moms. Well, maybe that one. Fana, it's okay. Honestly, this, for the most part, I don't expect too much collaboration with chat when I do these streams, but it's always nice if you feel like you have a take, or if something I say sounds off to you. Like, feel free to call it out. It's okay if you feel young, like a little too young to sort of help on some of these issues, but it's also to kind of, it's also nice to sort of keep me grounded as well. Let's see. Does anyone else struggle with friends and family? It's like half the time they love you, half the time they hate you. I've met so many toxic people in my life. It made me feel like I'm on a never-ending roller coaster. Not to mention most of them are still here. Let's see. I mean, this is Twitch after all. And what is Twitch if we're not communicating with chat, right? Or trying to build community. Let's see. I actually have a pretty bad relationship with my family. It's a tough situation because it almost gives them an excuse to be toxic and never learn from it, because there's an expectation that family is forever. It's almost almost worse than dealing with strangers, to be honest. Let's see. Personally, I've had to make the decision to treat them just about the same as anyone else. And that's not a bad thing either. If family is toxic and they're not willing to try to be better, yeah. Blood ain't worth as much as kindness is. I mean, it's true. It's like, sometimes people don't stop to just think about this stuff. Try to be better. Why is it up to you to hold it together, you know? I don't know if this is necessarily good advice, because to a certain degree, there's always give and take that comes with a relationship, right? I come from an Asian background, and they tend not to like to be challenged by their youngers. So, I mean, you know, at a certain point, you gotta make a decision, right? I really want a close relationship on par with a romantic one, minus the romance. You may say that's just a best friend, but you generally don't go on dates with a best friend. Lol, smiley. What do you think this one means? Are we talking about friends with benefits? Or is this just... This might be boomer brain thinking, but aren't dates inherently romantic? I'm wondering. Huh. Okay, well, let's see. If they're saying something like this, I'm assuming... Guidance, huh? Let's see, A. So if you're talking about dates without romance, are you maybe describing friendships with benefits? Part of the ace spectrum. It's possible to not experience romantic attraction but have sexual and sensual attraction. Hey, Sad, welcome back. How's it going on this fine Saturday evening? A balmy 80 degrees in Los Angeles County. Friendships. So Fana, you think, so what it could be, so like sensual and sexual attraction, but without the love, so to speak. That kind of is the theoretical friends with benefits, right? Because I guess, like, if you like doing date things, I mean, I guess you can. I guess personally I have a hard time sort of separating it, though. Romance and love don't go together. So they don't want... So what quantifies romance, then? Is romance the sexual component? Tried to get a date with a gal, but gotta cast out the line even longer. No, I hear you, Sad. Good on you for still trying. It's rough out there, especially these days. That's best friend, but you generally don't go on dates with a best friend. I'll admit, I'm a little confused by what you're describing. But I guess if you're able to explain it properly to a prospective, this ace stuff. Wait, so ace, this is actually a thing then? Or like a term? I wasn't even aware of this. Ace? All I think of is all you can eat, but I doubt that's related. Ace as in... It's an acronym probably, right? What's this? Ace spectrum. To a prospective partner, friend. Oh, for asexual. Huh. So it's an asexual relationship, but dates are still involved. I mean, I guess it would be kind of like when girls go on dates with each other, right? But not necessarily in a... Isn't that just Hmm. Maybe I'm overcomplicating this one. Minus the romance, you don't really get. I guess if you're able to properly explain it properly to a prospective friend, partner, then it should be possible. Huh. I wonder if that. I personally just recommend they visit the Avon forum. Hmm. Thinking of asexual people who only live their life with a G rating. I mean, so kind of like, I don't know if abstinence would be the right term, but it should be possible. I mean, it's sad. It's fine. It's fine if we don't get it. It's just, I think the point is to try our best to understand and try to engage without being too judgmental. It's just my take. I don't know. It sounds like if they're putting this out there, they just want like someone not to say, "Hey, that's weird," you know? Like actually that seems to be sort of the trend we're hitting in today's requests. Or at least there have been a few already that have had people kind of people being frustrated for having a what do we call that, non-binary? Or a non-traditional view on relationships. Then it should be possible. Let's see, what did you recommend? Avon forum? Avon forum? Let me just take a look at this in case, just so I'm sure. Forum. Asexual Visibility and Education Network. I don't know if this person actually needs education. I think they're just looking for validation that something they just want is, you know, recognized by other people. In which case, I wonder if maybe my response might be more harmful than positive. I'd hate to say it, but I'm probably out of my league on this one. Ah, man. I want to try, but I feel like I run the risk of being kind of almost offensive if I do. But fair to stand back when you aren't sure. Yeah, I know. I mean, like, I understand that. It's just one of those things where it's like, if I had to throw out a cultural equivalent, it would be like non-Asians kind of, you know, talking to Asians and being like, oh, you know, there's that Oriental restaurant down the street. You'll probably like that kind of thing, you know? I mean, sad. I think I'm kind of scratching a surface concept on it. It's just sort of like you don't. It may not necessarily be like the same sort of sexual attraction, but you still biologically have those urges, and you still kind of seek that out, you know? And in which case, it's kind of like having, I guess, a platonic partner for that. And sometimes you just want it to be stated or be mutually understood that, like, you know, there shouldn't be strings tied to this, or, you know, it should be, whatchamacallit, neither side should read too much into it. I think there was a Natalie Portman movie about that actually, a good 5 to 10 years ago, maybe. And the whole concept was that Natalie Portman wanted exactly that. She just wanted to like have sex with her friend, but not have it be, a thing. And then of course the dude gets like overly attached and he starts like, you know, he wants a romantic relationship out of it, but no, she just wants the fucking sex, leave me alone kind of thing. So I think that's the idea that's kind of coming across to a certain degree. But yeah, it is kind of hard, especially for some of us old world folks to sort of parse that concept out. But yeah, let's see. Next question. I'm too scared to get medicated, which causes me to never go to the doctors. I might need antidepressants. But my family members all had different reactions. My cousin gained a lot of weight on them. I've actively been losing weight, so this scares me a lot. Let's see. Part of the doctor's job in prescribing medications is to evaluate the side effects and change medications or doses accordingly. If you're at a point where you think you need antidepressants, don't let that scare you away from consulting a psychiatrist. At the end of the day, if it's not working for you, you don't need to stay on them. Let's see. There is that stigma about going on medication, but I honestly wasn't expecting this sort of reaction to the concept, right? Because I think if anything, maybe that's not the way it is now, but at least when I was younger, I feel like the reaction to antidepressants or, mood medication was that, oh, you're a lesser person because you can't handle it without the medication, right? But then normal people drink and smoke, so I don't know how much weight that kind of concept really holds when you look at it. At the end of the day, if it's not working for you, you don't need to stay on them. Let's see. I would say if you're thinking about them, though, I would say if you're at a point where you might need them, it would be better to go with them than something else like alcohol or other drugs. Something like that. Wow. I guess people really are concerned about stuff for different reasons these days. I'll give them, sorry. I don't know why I had the impression this person might have been female, but I'll give them a cookie to symbolize edibles. Because I'm a little trollish like that. Let's see. I have a lot happening in my life. Knowing is fearing about my... Right. Comma, I have a lot happening in my life. Knowing is fearing about my own father's suicide and my parents' divorcement. I just don't know anymore. What should I do with myself? Hmm. Distract myself or learn to enjoy life. I mean, that's kind of an odd thing. That almost implies that he thinks he could just do those things. Distraction sometimes works, but only if there's an oncoming prospect of life to get better. Sounds like you have a lot of personal concerns. You're not able to get out of your mind. I know it sounds cliche, but have you considered seeing a mental health specialist? As someone who tried to tough it out on their own before doing so themselves. Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing, right? It's funny how therapy doesn't really get considered as a primary no matter how bad your life gets. And it's unfortunately it's unfortunately how society's kind of groomed us even up to now, right? Like if someone says they're like seeing a therapist, suddenly the person you're talking to will like talk in a hushed whisper and be like, "Oh, is everything okay?" And then you develop a weird persecution complex as a result, which is unfortunate. And it's just a lack of awareness, right? Like it's not like the person means harm, but ignorance ignorance is harmful sometimes. So whenever I try to recommend this, I always try to and maybe everyone's like Fana, are you by any chance an Asian as well? I feel like that's a very kind of common condition. Or at least maybe an ethnic minority in the United States. Or in any country, I suppose. I feel like we get that second generation PTSD. As someone who tried to tough it out on their own before doing so themselves, I would say no, just neglected. Sorry to hear that, Fana. Oh, but yeah, no, I mean, at the least it sounds like you've got peers who kind of understand the situation. So that's a thing at least. Tried to tough it out on before doing so. I would say it's not something that should be discounted so easily. Hmm. Sometimes friends just don't have the perspective to help you rationalize through difficult times. Food for thought. Can't wait to pass my flaws on to the next generation. You know, Sad, I'm not gonna lie, I've thought about that quite a bit actually. The idea that I don't think I'd want children. Like, maybe if I had a really good partner who I could rely on not to bring in their kind of problems onto their children, so that we only have to counteract mine, but it's a tough thing. There's a lot of hangups that kind of go into this. And it's crazy to me that people think that like we as humans have some sort of weird responsibility to continue creating progeny, right? I'm like, you guys have problems. Why are you having children? Why are you having children to try to get over your problems? Like, it's crazy. Let's see. I had been doing okay with eating healthy and resisting binging urges for a bit, but recently have had a few bad days of overeating until I was physically uncomfortable and it makes me disgusting. Ooh. Weight loss advice, huh? Hmm. Let's see. I would say give yourself conditions or penalties in exchange for binging. If you binge, maybe put some cardio time to compensate for it. And that might either discourage you from binging or encourage you to exercise more. I think either result is pretty good at the end of the day. It's funny that this person's writing this one because I did just eat a lot of caramel popcorn before starting the stream, and I similarly feel physically disgusting right now. Bad days of overeating. I just feel physically disgusting. Any tips on writing out the binging urges? I think it's healthier to remove the negative feeling associated with binging. I mean, I guess it's it's the feeling of self-disappointment, right? I think to a certain point when you're, especially if you're trying to lose weight, because it sounds like that's probably what this person's trying to do. You binge because you reach a point of like, what's the point, right? Like at some point you mentally think to yourself, what's the point? And so you need kind of an objective or a goal to keep you on track as well. I mean, sometimes shame isn't enough, right? Shame is what drives you to overeat sometimes too. So it's sort of, we can't always rely on the power of darkness to get us through things. Also, maybe it's similarly addictive to drinking. When you make yourself work up over it, leaning on the thing that's taking you down. Worked up over it. But how do we tell someone to disassociate their habit with their bad, or their self-perceived bad habit with negativity, though? Power of darkness. All that stuff with Kingdom Hearts, it's all a quiet analogy for the temptations and the self-deprecations we have in life. I think either way, the result is pretty good at the end. Maybe you can even view binging as a reward for hard work. Even come to view. That's really yabai. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe view snacking. Let's say snacking. Snacking isn't necessarily the same as binging. We don't want to say that for sure. It also helps to have an end objective to keep you honest. I'm guessing you want to lose weight. Maybe set goals or milestones. They set goals or milestones to keep you on track for chunks at a time. Yeah, no, I don't think that's bad. I think that was pretty okay. We'll give them a meat. Oh, not a turtle. Actually, because I'm very trollish, I'm gonna give them a cookie. But yeah, I understand that feeling. I ate a lot of candied popcorn, and I bought one of those buckets of it, which was a horrible life decision. BPD. I'm considering therapy with someone who specializes in it, but I'm wondering if I should be looking into other resources. Does anyone know what BPD is? Bipolar disorder. Huh. For anyone else, what are you finding is most helpful with treatment and support? Borderline personality disorder. So what exactly does that encompass? Because personality disorders, I'm guessing depression or anxiety doesn't really fall into that, right? I'm wondering if I should be looking into other resources. I'm wondering if this is something I should pass, because they definitely are asking for... It's the messiest one to define. Pretty much only treatable by therapy. Maybe... I mean, I hate to say it, but I'll probably have to pass on this one then, because they are asking for specific people with this experience, so it's not really an invitation to step in. Also, welcome, Adapt. Borderline personality disorders. That makes it sound... Oh, no, you're fine, Adapt. Honestly, I welcome the input from chat for these. I'm actually not too familiar with the term. Like, that... It's interesting because it almost sort of implies not quite there-ness, but it still needs treatment. Yeah, I mean, no one is, but like, I think I'm particularly clueless on the matter. Once again, I like having chat to kind of keep me accountable for things, so feel free to type out if, something sticks out. Let's see what we got here. I just want life to feel special again. It feels like I'm wasting away and not moving forward in any way, despite the fact that I acknowledge areas in which I'm improving. Low self-esteem. A lack of self-compassion, maybe. Definitely felt that in my 20s, and I think a lot of people kind of do when they aren't finding immediate success in career or relationships. It sounds like you're struggling with your sense of self-worth. It's tough to find tangible evidence for life progress, especially these last few years. But it's important to acknowledge the situation you're in. and you shouldn't hold that against yourself. Despite the fact that I acknowledge areas in which I'm improving. Is there a specific direction you want your life to go in? And that's just the area you're not seeing progress in. It's a little tough because, you know, there's obviously no back and forth you can have with these people. Just feel like I'm willing to bet they probably went through a recent life transition, like going to college or just graduating. Some sort of sudden shift where, like, they had some established sort of lifestyle or standing, but they have to kind of start over again. Self-worth doesn't come from progress as much as it does from acknowledging. I mean, it's definitely not about progress for sure. I think self-worth is kind of getting over the perception that you need to be making progress. And why should it dictate your sense of self-worth? Let's see. And why should it dictate your sense of self-worth? A long time ago, I don't think this is unreactable. I'm just trying to get my thoughts together on this one. I think the big important thing this person probably needs is a sense of self-compassion. Because if they say they feel worthless or that their existence doesn't matter, it's definitely a self-directed kind of disappointment. So it's not important what direction their life is going. Why should progress dictate your sense? And that you shouldn't. Oh my God, I almost said the opposite thing. And you shouldn't hold that against yourself. Why should progress dictate your sense of self-worth? Self-compassion. But it's important to acknowledge the situation, and you shouldn't hold that against yourself. Tough to find tangible evidence for life progress, and you shouldn't hold that against yourself. Acknowledge areas in which I'm improving. I feel like The last sentence of your statement seems to suggest you have a bit of resentment against yourself. Try not to use the same words in adjacent sentences. Self-resentment, a bit of self-resentment. Doesn't matter, I hate feeling worthless. Self-directed. Bit of self-directed resentment. How to get over self-hatred. Develop a sense of self-compassion, but how does that come about? Understanding. Why do you feel like you are insufficient as a person? You may need to reflect on the causes of that. Let's see. If so, you may need to reflect on why you think that. On what inspires you to think that way. Inspires you to think that way. I feel like I'm wasting away, not moving forward. It's probably not as important as you. It might not be as important as you. It might really be as important as you think it is now. Something like that. I don't know why I struggled so much on that one, because I feel like I've had this exact thought before. When I was younger. At the end of the day, it sort of comes down to picking apart what brings about that instinctive knee-jerk reaction that, you know, that you're a waste of space or something like that. My wedding is really stressing me out. The logistics of where my daughter will be on our honeymoon is feeling insurmountable. The date is 5 weeks away. We know it will be a blast, but are almost frozen to work through some of these details. Wedding anxiety. Let's see. I don't know if I can really speak to this that well, given that I haven't been married, but I do feel like I think people I think people throw weddings or have weddings without really thinking of why they have them, right? Because I think in a lot of cases, weddings are more for the people attending than the actual people having the wedding themselves. And that's why it tends to be, crazy and not fun. Let's see. It sounds like you might be losing track of the point of this wedding. It should be fun and for you, right? At the end of the day, nobody's going to leave a Yelp review of your wedding or talk about it or do or do an analysis video of it on YouTube. To flex for the people you care about. Or just to flex as well, right? Like I mean, I get the kind of the logistical stress of it because it is a big undertaking, but I do think it's weird that it should get to that point. Like there's always going to be a little bit of stress when you plan out, an event or a party or anything. But to be kind of like analysis paralysis about it is a little much. I think if you proceed with that sort of awareness, that it really doesn't matter if it isn't perfect. Then you'll have an easier time dealing with the stress of planning. And you'll have an easier time with the stress of planning. Yeah, no, I think that's good enough. I think at the end of the day, you just kind of need to take a step back and be like, I mean, it's the most important thing is that you're getting married, not that the wedding is like perfect or whatever, or perfectly rehearsed. Although I don't know, I don't know that I may not have a romantic bone in my body, so that could just me being a little too practical for the situation. I have a question before I go. Dating a woman with a kid, yay or nay? Sad, I would say that depends on what the woman's expectations are with the relationship with the kid, right? Because I think what's a little scary, and this isn't just for women with children, but for anyone in general. This is my take, and it may not be I wouldn't say it's a foolproof take, but I do think that people who get into relationships with a very specific objective are a little scary because it kind of causes them to sort of navigate the relationship in a specific way, right? Like someone who's only dating to get married as opposed to dating with the hopes of developing a good relationship, which would it inevitably result in a marriage, maybe, like that sort of thing. Women with a kid, not really a problem unless they're like, you are applying to be the father of my child. In which case, I mean, if you're okay with that, you're okay with it. But I feel like it's a little too laser focused for dating, But that's just my opinion. Because, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they will either look for a very specific set of character traits from you, or they will specifically try to mold you into what they want. So it's not bad objectively, but you just got to make sure that's communicated. But yeah, if you are going on a date, good luck with that, Sad. I wish you all the luck in the world. But yeah, meanwhile, we've got Poetry Slam here. Feeling so lonely and sad, end of a long day, just working away for my papers at university. Best of fortunes, indeed. I hate when people put poetry on this site because it's like, you can't respond to any of this. Not in any sort of meaningful way. And if you respond at all, it's kind of like, yes, I read this. And that's all I can really give you, which I don't like doing that. I love being queer, and while it has made my life very difficult, it's also a very beautiful thing. If you're queer, gay, lesbian, bi, trans, ace, or every other part of the LGBTQ community, please tell me some stuff you love about being so. Have a splendid day. At least that's actually pretty positive. You're like 3 of those things. Power to you, especially these days. I'm glad the awareness is actually more pronounced than it was before. Unfortunately, I can't say I qualify as any of these, so I don't think it would be right for me to comment. I really want the experience of... Wait, we've been through that one. Feel empty and sad. I guess... Wait, is there punctuation? I'm disappointed that I still prioritize over my social life than to study. I tried many times to stop procrastinate, but I keep doing it. It's been 1 year, but I don't want to victimize myself, but I still feel sad. I have a very sort of nasty knee-jerk reaction to kind of criticize someone's grammar when they write things about not studying. Let's see. Oh. As long as you're getting the work done, don't feel too bad about prioritizing your social life. It's actually, let's see, being able to make friends and communicate is a lot more important than grown-ups give it credit for. That said, you may want to work on that grammar homework. I think that's the best I can get to without being mean about it. You may want to do more of that grammar homework. I failed high school. I don't know how to help this person. I mean, Fana, I mean, I know they're not complete sentences, but the things you type at least are interpretable, you know? You can at least break up the important points that you need to get across by different lines and not like write it all as a no punctuation paragraph. Had a breakup grieving breakdown today. Then a period of peace. So many ups and downs. Trying to get things done is real tough, but I'm trying to survive one day at a time. So that's just a message. Honestly, that'd be better as a paper airplane, but I'll leave that. Injunction against harassment? Branch of laws to find a pro bono attorney. What the hell? I'm kind of afraid to look up what this means, but I guess we'll see in a second. Injunction against harassment. It's a restraining order? Yikes. Oh boy. Yeah, definitely more Reddit material, but this is already kind of like... innocent until proven guilty, right? But it's kind of strange. Like, I don't think people just get served get served restraining orders like that. Let's see. Every other day I feel like dying, and the only psychologist who ever trusted called my identity an ideology. So definitely not going back there. I just don't want to hurt anymore. I just keep ruining everything. Ideology. That's the only psychologist who I ever trusted called my identity an ideology. Yeah, I know. I feel like this is so close to something we could respond to. It's just every other day I have the only sounds like they just have a distrust of Are you perhaps struggling with Do you perhaps have trust issues when it comes to mental health specialists? A psychologist, no, psychiatrists do medication. Psychologists, is to be analytical about your condition, but it doesn't necessarily mean they empathize with it. You might be better off seeking the help of someone in a sister field, a therapist or a social worker. I've been called an idiot by a therapist before. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. Like, it sucks, but sometimes you just don't run into good. Oh, hey, Cake Cat. Welcome. I don't know if it's accurate to say enjoying, but these are definitely some, I don't know if brain teaser is the right word. We've had some tough ones today. Might be best a therapist or a social worker. Sometimes you don't find the right fit, but unfortunately, like dating, it's something you've got to try with different people to find that good fit. Let's see. Stay strong and stay strong and don't give up the fight. Think is about the best we can do. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I've been lucky enough to find like a couple good mental health specialists. It's also sort of important to understand what it is you want out of your help and what they can reasonably give. Like I've sort of come to terms with I've kind of come to accept the notion that like a medical health professional isn't your best friend, right? They can help try to empathize with your situation or help you not feel like, what you're thinking is unreasonable. But they're not your friend and they're not your family. And it is a business transaction at the end of the day. Let's see. I hate my family situation. My parents accept it as if it's not a big deal, but it's making me go insane. Why am I suffering so much? I'm so confused, I can't make sense of anything, just dead ends. Another vague one. Parents accept it as if... Let's see. It sounds like you're... It sounds like you're... Like you have mismatched interpretations of your home life compared to your parents. It might seem... I don't know. I can't... There's not enough to go on, unfortunately. I wish I could respond to this. I really wish I could, but... I need a circumstance. I need something to work with here. Because I can't make... I have to make an assumption to say something. Pro bono. I hate being jealous. I love my friends so much, but when I hang out with others, I feel these ugly feelings. I wish I could just be happy for them for socially thriving. Let's see. I get you. I grew up feeling like the most unremarkable person in my friend group. Yeah, I think. Yeah, if we got totally different interpretations of what the situation could have been, it's tough, right? It becomes a 50-50 at that point, or a 50-50 at least. Uh, I think I get what you're talking about. I grew up feeling like the most unremarkable person in my friend group, even though I liked them. It was hard. It was hard not to. Feel resentful that, let's see, that they do so much better than I. That they're doing so much better than I. Ah. Let's see. Jealousy is a bitch. How to help a person with jealousy. Or not to feel resentful that they're doing so much better than me. Did that feel weird? That felt weird. Have you ever dealt with serious jealousy? I think I have. I mean, I wouldn't say crippling, but it certainly made me meaner than I needed to be. Like the thing is, definitely in high school, that was sort of my take. I was not well spoken. I was not popular. My grades were not as good as my friends, and so I definitely felt overshadowed throughout my childhood. Thing is, it took until adulthood to really get over it, but I think by that point, I had fewer things to compare myself with. Like in high school, when you think about it, image is kind of a big part of it. And I'm assuming this person might be in high school. You fall into the monotonous. I mean, if you feel like your life is unremarkable, that's one thing. But I think what I felt back then was that I personally was an unremarkable person. Even to this day, I kind of have a bit of a hang up with that. I often describe myself as a black hole of stage presence, where there are some people who can kind of like go up in front of a crowd and like not literally perform, but like make it so people want to pay attention to you, right? Or think you're funny. I feel like I kind of do the opposite of that, and I make a situation more boring. But I also kind of acknowledge that I don't need to compare myself the same way as with those people. And maybe that's what it kind of comes down to here. Let's see. It took a while for me to get over it. But I think the trick is that you have to not compare yourself to the same standards your friends excel at. You don't have to be as funny or smart, but know that you carry your own value in a separate metric. But not know, understand is the more accurate term. Understand that you carry your own value in a separate metric. I mean, it's not that much space to explain it, but that's funny. But understand that you carry your own value in a separate metric. That may not be applicable to them. If listening to a talking moon person could ever be boring. I mean, I appreciate that. There's a reason why I go with the faceless streamer route. And I think part of it is my personal, my visual, my physical image, perhaps. Just because you're boring one way doesn't mean you can't be interesting in another, though. Let's see. Let's give him a rabbit. But yeah, honestly, it took a lot of work too. I wasn't always this well spoken, and even now I kind of stutter here and there. But I used to be a lot worse. I used to forget words in the middle of my sentences. I hate how I'm never anyone's first choice or favorite. Everyone always chooses me last to talk to. I wish someone cared, and if anyone I know could just honestly ask if I'm okay. Another 0 punctuation request. Let's see. It probably sounds... You probably won't like this advice, but sometimes the best thing you could do if you want someone to pay attention is just ask. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking, Fana. It's like, this strikes me as very kind of shut-in mentality. And the thing is, a lot of people, it doesn't occur to a lot of people to just be blunt right off the bat, right? Like, if there's an analogy I always like to throw out is the whole concept of the silent treatment. If you play the silent treatment, nobody ever notices when you play the silent treatment. And the end result is you just look like an idiot because you're just waiting for someone to notice you. But no one notices you because you're silent. So it's kind of like this. I get the feeling, I mean, this is just conjecture, but I do get the feeling this person probably doesn't make the first approach and is therefore kind of resentful that no one approaches them first. Yeah. It's the tricky part about giving this kind of advice is doing so in a way that isn't patronizing, isn't degrading, right? Because another concept I tend to throw out is the concept of the sad shamer, who's always like, just be happy, forehead. Why are you being upset? Why are you sad? Just be happy, you know? Because it shows a lack of empathy, a lack of understanding of anyone who's not in your privileged position, of having a good life situation already. Let's see. even if it feels like it shouldn't go that way, and even if it feels like it shouldn't go that way, and it's unfair for you to have to do that. If you open a letter with "Hey babes," you are instantly friendly. Even if it feels like it shouldn't it shouldn't go that way, and it's unfair for you to have to do that. Even if it feels like that, it's the hand you're dealt, and the only alternative is to continue being unacknowledged. I get it. I was there once upon a time myself. It sucks that you have to reach out to make people care, but sometimes you only have to do it once. And if people know, they'll start paying attention. And if people get to know, they'll start paying attention. There we go. I think that's a good one. It's yeah, I mean, you gotta put in kind of a starter effort for it to become self-sustaining. Alright, what else we got? This guy with his restraining order. Dear everyone, I'm now at junior in the undergrad. Oh god, these people. Getting into university with these grammar skills, oh my god. I'm now a junior in the undergraduate program. I try to plan out what I should do after I graduated. I want some advices on taking scholarship to study abroad or internship. FYI, I kind of burn out on studying in university, and I'm in bachelor's science. Of course they're a STEM major. Nothing against STEM majors, but they tend to overlook the important things like the ability to communicate. Let's see. Junior undergraduate program. After I want some advices on taking scholarships or to study abroad or an internship. Let's see. Hey. If you're looking for internships, usually your university will have positions for that. TA work is also worthwhile, I think. How third level works in the US. College is third level? I mean, it's I can only speak off of general concepts. The thing is, it's like bachelor's in science and math. The thing they don't tell you about becoming an academic is that if you go a little too vague academic, you kind of can't do anything with it, right? Like, what do you do as a math major? Does that qualify you to do any actual practical work aside from maybe being a math teacher? Which is kind of the weird situation it puts us in. Fana, are you not a US citizen? Well, not that it's my business. I was just wondering since you wrote how it works in the US. So I was assuming maybe you were Canadian or something. Oh, Irish. Wow, I'm catering to a UK crowd? That's amazing. This is what people think at 4 a.m. and then this is what people think about at 4 a.m. and in the night. They can't sleep and they see if someone's streaming kind words on Twitch. If there's a specific career objective in mind, just look up their jobs site and see if you can apply as an intern there. No, there was an Israeli streamer who popped in, I think the first week I was doing this. So I was kind of like, whoa, international crowd hangs out late. Apply as an intern there. To be honest, whether it's related to your career or not, I just look for kind words for the vibes. Well, I appreciate that, Cake. I was wondering if people actually search games by title or search for streams by game title. Because I do think this is a very underrated game, first off. And like, it is worth having a community for. It's just that like when I made the decision to stream this game, I noticed no one was streaming it either, and I was really surprised at that. I think, let's see. To be honest, whether it's related to your career or not, I think any work experience is important to have. At least to give you some perspective of what's to come after education. And whether it's worth veering off if necessary. Something like that. I was gonna open the game, but I knew I wasn't quite up to the task today, so I thought I'd look it up on Twitch. Yeah, no, I mean, it's not bad either. Like, you know, having the game isn't like a moral obligation for sure. But I think it's nice to be able to have a community where you can kind of discuss this sort of thing too, right? And it not only helps the person you're writing back to, but it also helps the people kind of participating. No, it is. It's definitely intense. Especially when you see like basically a suicide note on here. It is a little much, but I pretty much do exactly that. I have a list of my favorite indie games to talk about with smaller streamers. Yeah, no. I mean, if anyone's receptive to that, it's definitely the smaller streamers. But yeah. I don't know, this game can get tricky sometimes. Like, I think I spent like a good 30 minutes on a suicide letter. Because there wasn't much to work with, but I didn't want to leave it alone. Because I feel like most people would have passed it. And at the end of the day, I think these people are just looking for a response or acknowledgement or like, you know, to know that someone's reading it. And that helps when you have people to bounce ideas back and forth with, right? Why does everyone tell people to love themselves and no one talks about how? Let's see. It's very easy to just say to do something, but I think most people are fortunate in that they never... Let's see. How do I want to express this idea? This kind of goes back to my sad shaming concept, right? People who are sort of already already in a good position or have never really lived through a bad position. Just saying, like, just do it, forehead, right? And I think that's specifically what this person's bringing up. There's an unfortunate tendency for people to just say, do it, forehead, without realizing it's not as easy for others as it is for them. To love themselves. Personally, I call them sad shamers. Might want to replace forehead with a general use term. I don't know, is forehead not universal? I kind of thought it was, but for people to say, oops, to say, just get better, without realizing it's not as easy for others. It's not as easy for others as it is for them. I don't know your circumstances, but I get the feeling that you're bothered. I get the feeling that you're bothered by how easy other people make it sound. It really isn't. And they just happen to be lucky enough not to have struggled with it in their lives. Anyone who's had a hard time and got better knows this. So don't feel alienated if you're still struggling. You'll figure it out. I need like one more ½ inch of margin to work with. You'll figure it out. Forehead, wait. Okay, no. For a second I thought I spelled forehead wrong, and I was just like, had I been doing it this whole time? Yeah. Yeah, sad shaming and people making you feel like you're a dumbass because, you know, it's easy. Just stop being sad all the time. It is the worst. I grew up raised Christian, and so I ended up going to a lot of youth ministries. They're all about that, and it's the worst thing. Like, they are not equipped. They think that if they could just blunt force like friendliness and happiness on you, that like that just works. No, Fana, you're fine. What's important is that we catch the errors eventually. Let's see. Since I was diagnosed with clinical depression, I noticed to get by in life, I always have short-term goals. Small things I look forward to. The pandemic has made that hard. But I have my first long-term one now. Do you get by like this too? Not negative, not positive. I'm glad you figured out. I'm glad you figured. Let's see. Got something to work with you. I've got a similar condition, and I do find that having milestones or things to work towards makes it a lot easier, at least in the short term. I don't know if our condition ever gets cured, but it does get manageable, and it's a pretty good habit. Also good for just increasing motivation in your daily life. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I think one of the biggest issues with depression is feeling like nothing will change. Or like there's no light at the end of the tunnel or anything. Like, your current state as a depressed person will be like this forever. It's like the most dooming feeling. So having short-term goals or having things to work towards, that helps. But in the long run, but it does get manageable. I don't know if our condition ever gets cured, but it does get manageable. And we can adjust our lives to work around it. As long as you look forward to anything or have hope for anything. Have you ever heard about the concept of gratitude journaling? Mixing that with this habit is such a... I've never actually heard of it. Is it basically just kind of... Is it exactly how it sounds? Just writing down everything you're happy about or you appreciate? Or have hope for anything? It's a good motivator to keep from... It's a good motivator to prevent your... It's a good motivator to keep moving forward. Gratitude journaling. Team college project. 6 in a team. 3 people were from my class group and they did everything together, even their speeches. I barely did anything for this because they talk separately and I'm not one to pass on others' work. Kept asking what to do. Got answer after it was done. Not really. I mean, kind of annoying, but yeah. Write down simple things you're grateful for. I mean, it's not a bad concept. I just don't know if it works for everyone. Personally, I'm a little I think I'm a little too cynical personally to really take that sort of thing seriously. But I also don't think you necessarily need to write everything. Kyrgyzet. Oh. Is that the guy with the crows? No, that's someone else. I'm lazy, so I'd forget to do it. Hey, Pilgrim, welcome back. I'm glad yesterday's toxic Overwatch stream didn't scare you off completely. Especially after Bum got drunk. I mean, it sounds like there isn't really much to do here. As long... Okay, well actually I got something encouraging to say. Long as you're concerned, and as long as you're concerned, as long as you wanted to help and were concerned, I think that's enough. If a team isn't being inclusive, but you're benefiting from it, it's not for lack of trying on your part. Just do what you can, and don't get too hung up over it. Oh, Vanna, thank you for following. Yes, my empire grows once more. Vanna, I try to make kind words sort of my regular game on this channel, but every once in a while I'll do something kind of off kilter. So don't feel like you have to watch everything. Not that you should. But you know, just be aware that I might play a weird off game once in a while, and that's not like me switching over or anything like that. As long as the project isn't taking a nosedive. In that case, rally up with your other two teammates and stage a coup. I think that's good. It is a... I'll probably not be up at this time every day either, so... Yeah, no, that's fine. I appreciate it all the same. 4 a.m. though, man. Oh! Kit Kat, thank you for following. Same thing goes for you. Maybe if you're not on the other side of the world. But yeah. I try to mix it up once in a while, but I do want this to be kind of the main thing. And if I could somehow build a community around kind words, that would be the best case scenario I can imagine, but I mean, we know how Twitch is, so I'm not so sure, but I would like to think that it's possible. Wish I had something like homework related. Oh, actually Optimus Prime would be a good one. Thumbs up robot for encouragement. Oh, all right. Poetry slam. Does anyone have positive stories about school group projects? I don't think that happens, man. Or I don't know. I feel like a lot of people who end up in the gaming circle end up getting shunted. Like personally, back in high school, I basically got stuck in a situation where no one would join me for a group project, so I got stuck with the lazy shits who didn't want to do anything, and so that project ultimately failed. Like, I actually had to get my mom involved, because it was a high school class, so this of course affects my GPA. I had to get my mom involved to talk to the teacher to be like, hey, this is bullshit. Just because my son doesn't have friends doesn't mean he deserves to fail. He doesn't deserve to fail general literature. There is a chill lo-fi stream category for a reason. Yeah, I mean there is, Cake, but it's not exactly the same either. Your group projects were always good, damn. My group projects were always tough because, like I mentioned before, in the situations where I was in classes with my friends, I was definitely overshadowed by my friends, so my kind of opinions or directions always carried less weight than other people. So, I don't know. Personally, I haven't had a good experience, but after college or after high school, it wasn't really a thing, so I didn't really have to worry about it too much. I don't have a problem working in groups. It's just that like at some point someone's gotta do the alpha ego thing and take control. Can present pretty well, so I'd work with people with stage fright. They'd write up a script and I'd deliver. Yeah, I mean that's just proper delegation, right? Play to your strengths. Science show exhibit. Damn, I never got to do one of those. I'm always curious about that. My school didn't really put much emphasis on science, unfortunately. I tried to start a science club, but it sort of fizzled out because I was the only one who actually liked science. Typical nerd. Let's see. This one almost looks like Poetry Slam. We used to talk daily. Now every time we have an uninterrupted conversation, she disappears all of a sudden and kind of ghosts me. I really don't get it. She does give me conversation, but she then just vanishes. We used to have a great friendship. And now this. What the Go back to your IT kind word questions, science club member. How do I dual boot Linux? These people. Let's see. So it sounds like this dude had a close friend who is now ghosting him. What's your guys' take? Because I actually kind of have a theory on this, but so several possibilities here. It's a pattern rather than current ghosting, right? So we got several possibilities, I'm thinking. Because I think this is a dude who had a crush on his friend. So possibility one is that his friend found out about his crush and is trying to cut off conversation in order not to lead him on. Option two, she has a boyfriend. And she's cutting things off to limit how close she is to her guy friends. No mention of the boyfriend in this, but I do think either way, I still think it might be option one here. But correct me if this way of thinking is off. Maybe the other friend is just losing interest in the friendship? Possible. You know, actually, that's a good point, Cake Cat. I think I've gotten too used to people kind of bringing up these subjects as romance-related issues that my mind just went there. But you're completely right. It is possible that they're just trying to phase out a friendship. Gee, let's see. Have you spoken to this person directly about what's going on? Well, ex-friend, yeah. I mean, that's... Some people find it hard to end friendships, even when that's the best option. It's true. I think the weird part is that they have conversations still, right? Like, it's not a cold turkey cutoff. Let's see. Have you spoken to this person directly about what's going on? Sometimes the most obvious and blunt way is the best way to broach these subjects, especially if it seems like she's being dodgy with you. She may just be too scared or uncertain of how to bring up whatever's bothering her. Weird thing to think of probably, but the first thing I'd wonder is if she has constant communication access in the first place. So you think maybe the guy's like staring at his phone waiting for the text message kind of situation? Like he's a little too possessive? And then she just vanishes. Going through a tunnel, right? Maybe she lives in a cellular dead zone. What's sometimes the most obvious blunt way to broach these subjects is the best way to... That said, when you say she ghosts you, is that just her not responding to a message? Or just being unavailable on the phone? If so, you might want to temper... Let's see. They're a bit younger, just don't have their phone at all times, and if they're older, it's a bit different. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of funny, right? Like, especially when you got the read receipts turned on your messaging, it drives people crazy. They got a sense of entitlement, a sense of possessiveness. I just want to know whether this is a real life relationship. Oh, that's a good point. Could be an online interaction, could be a one-sided thing too. She really might just not be available. I wonder how many friendships like online end with an acknowledgement that the friendship had ended. I don't think many friendships in real life generally acknowledge when they end. I think there's sort of a mutual understanding that you just don't talk to each other anymore. In any case, don't be accusatory. Yeah, she ghosted me. We used to talk every day, but ever since, 11 years ago. And we'll use this deer with the envelope to symbolize communication. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to go with. I think the WTF, I get like weird sort of possessiveness vibes from that last one. I mean, it sucks when a person ghosts you for sure, or if they just stop talking to you, but like, that whole thing is a little weird. That strikes me as odd. It's doing so good and everything just crashed. I started believing my delusions again. I feel so far from reality and I have this version of everyone I know in my head that isn't true. Not that they're truly good or bad, but it's like I'm loving make-believe. This one... This one feels familiar. Like, I feel like I've dealt with a request a week or so ago about someone kind of not being able to distinguish whether what they believe is actually true in terms of their relationships with their friends and family. There's not enough context to this, that's the problem. Yeah, honestly, I try not to pass on these things, but it's too much. I don't do two-parters, and this definitely feels like a two-parter. No, in my head isn't true. I mean, self-doubt, I'm pretty sure this is a returning writer, too. If I had a mill, I'd save my mom and start a real charity for abused boys and men. Even if I got death threats like Earl Silverman, I believe this world only psychos are rich. Weird. I'm not sure what this is about, but not really a problem. Oh, I think this is a... Huh. Nice to work with people who really appreciate. So this was a person who wrote last week that they were having problems because he's kind of an ass at the office, and I guess someone called HR on him. I guess he's good now. Basically, I just told him there's no harm in not being an asshole, so I hope he took some of that to heart. Got broken up with recently, and oddly enough, it is reminding me of a different breakup. In said different breakup, I never got closure for what exactly happened, and they stopped responding a while ago, so I am afraid I will never truly move on and find out why. Never got closure for what exactly happened. Let's see. It's unfortunate to say, but closure is really just a bonus and not something we're entitled to. That said, maybe you might have the chance to get closure this time, but you'll have to approach it carefully. I don't know. Does breakup closure is it really that huge a hang up for people? I think a lot of times people can kind of suss out why a relationship wasn't working out. If it's random though, then you could always chalk it up to issues on the other party, at which point that's up to them to work out on themselves. Hmm. Watch enough people fall apart over it, over a relationship closure. That's unfortunate. I mean, it's weird, right? Because I feel like you don't get relationship closure. The times when you don't get closure is when nobody wants to talk about why they got broken up with. At least with like an ugly, angry, yelling breakup, some information is is transferred there, right? Yeah, I was gonna say like it's kind of a normal standard part of life that we don't get closure for things. Hmm. That said, maybe this time you might have to go. Maybe you might have a chance to get closure this time. Yeah, I mean it sucks when the yelling happens, but I do think like if the yelling happens, both sides are saying their piece in at least one form or another. I think if you're getting just like broken up with no explanation, that's kind of shitty. Hmm. A thing worth considering is that if the party breaking up with you isn't willing to mention anything you did wrong, there might not even be closure to be gained. It could just be an issue on their side. In which case, it really may just be unnecessary for you to concern yourself over it after the fact. It's not you, it's them. I mean, it sounds silly to say, but that is actually a big part of what kind of got me through therapy. Because if you're naturally inclined to sort of take all the blame for things yourself, you take on the responsibility that should be left onto others, right? And so sometimes it isn't just you, and sometimes it is the other people, and you kind of have to know when you can take that and accept that without, obviously without letting it be a standard reaction where you kind of deflect blame from yourself all the time. Do I have any personal tips with dealing with loss of closure? Um, I'd say personal tips for dealing with loss of closure. I mean, it'll sound a little bad on paper, but sometimes you need to take a nihilistic view of things, right? Because in the overall scheme of things, do these things matter? And sometimes you have to place a certain amount of trust in the other party, right? In general, my rule is that I have to take things at face value. And so if they tell me something, I have to believe it. And if they're not telling me something, then whatever they're not telling me is not something I need to lose sleep over because they aren't they don't seem to think it's relevant to me. I shouldn't have to think it's relevant to myself. So it's kind of an idea of not having to take on additional burden than necessary. So when dealing with a loss of closure, I mean, it's kind of like just take on what you know and don't fixate on what, other people aren't willing to tell you. Is about the best I could say on that matter anyways. I have a friend who I ended on pretty bad terms with, and there's no like, we didn't really have any closure for that, but I could kind of accept the situation for what it is because I know what I know, and I can come to terms with the information I have. I think what most people have a hard time with is not being able to come to terms with information they don't have, which is to say the information the other party isn't willing to tell you. But in that case, it's on them. So you really shouldn't have to carry the burden of it. Let's see. I don't know if there's a point in trying or if I'm just lying to myself and everyone else around me. I always tell myself I can do it, but nothing ends up going right. I feel much better mentally, but maybe I'm just lying to myself again. It's a little too melodramatic for my taste, but... What is the point of trying to question the validity of your feelings? You seem to be fixated. Seems kind of sus, like there's an imposter syndrome. Among Us has changed language forever. You seem to be fixated on the notion that a lack of belief, a lack of, or if I'm lying to myself. That a lack of confidence leads to pointlessness. For the record, it doesn't. And the whole point of trying isn't to always be successful. It's lying to myself. I tell myself I can do it, but feel much better mentally. If you feel stable, just accept that you feel stable. If you're making attempts at things and failing, that's just part of the process. And that's acceptable too. Ah, vague requests come with vague responses, unfortunately. There's no need to label such things as lies. Labeling such things as lies just undermines your efforts. We can't always have kid gloves. But I feel like, I don't know, I think it feels very middle school. Like, sometimes you cling on to very specific phrases. And you want to, like, try to make yourself a bit of a tragic hero. I think I know deeply how people feel and what they think. Like, I'm not really projecting, I just know, and sometimes I can feel it too. Does that happen to you too? I don't know that this is really worth responding to, but I think that's just general empathy, right? I think if you lived through some shit, you're more capable of relating to other people, even in an abstract sort of way. Ah, this is a tough one. Virtual classes. Honestly, this is a very weird time for people to be students, right? You don't really congregate, you don't really develop a social life. There's a lot of speculation as to whether this current generation of kids are going to come out like sort of weird because they don't have interpersonal skills. Friends at your university. Classes are a tough one to comment on. Classes are a tough one. Actually, you know what's funny is back when I was in college, one of my professors, people have a social life in college? Right? Back when I was in college, there was one professor who insisted on having his lectures given to us on DVD, which was the biggest bullshit because none of us ever saw him in person. So he never really got a gauge of how his students, were reacting to the curricula aside from their turned in assignments. So it definitely it makes the professor very unapproachable. Is your professor or a TA available for No, thank you for dropping by, Fana. I hope you don't have anything super important you have to wake up for in the morning. But thank you for dropping by and for all the input. Office hours you can schedule for help. It's a weird thing to think to ask for. But uni should offer something to help. In terms of friends, since you don't have classes and probably no clubs, try looking into online communities. Seems silly, but you have to work with what you have. And if it's something based around a thing you like, video games, you'd be surprised how easy it is to socialize. Don't join a fighting game club though. Whatever you do. Fighting game club's bad. What else we got? What else we got? Snow globe to symbolize the isolation. Let's see. Lonely folks out there on the internet today. I have a really hard time making friends. I don't often have the energy to socialize, not to mention the trust issues. People usually aren't patient or determined enough to get to know me, and I don't blame them. What do I do? Even online friendships are hard for me. Aren't they hard on everyone? Let's see. Have you considered taking up a Have you considered joining a live stream? Do you have a specific history of joining bad fighting game clubs? K-Cat, there's actually... So here's the thing. I may look like a new streamer, but 7 years ago, I used to be a minor figure in the fighting game community. It's a bit of a joke because it's not that the fighting game community is toxic in itself. It's just that I think with any skill-based game community, you get a lot of salty people. You get a lot of people who don't know how to handle their tempers, and so it's a bit of a joke because at the end of fighting games is lots of frustrations. To what level their trust issues are. I mean, I think they're just generally afraid of people. Vague answers. I mean, I think I can give like concrete suggestions here. Have you considered taking up a club or volunteer type activity? Something that would put you in a place on a regular basis where you'd meet a lot of people, where you'd meet a lot of the same people. If it's hard to make friends out of the blue, sometimes familiarity is a good entry point, though it take a bit of time to capitalize on. And that in talking about the trust issues, what are they trusting others with? I mean, I think it's just kind of the basic trust issues of like giving someone your phone number or like giving someone your name, you know? Kind of putting yourself on another person's radar, which I understand because there are definitely people who... Some people just rub you the wrong way. And so like... If they go, what's your name? Sometimes you just don't want to tell them. Online's a little tricky. I'm not sure if this person's necessarily dealing with online situations. I think it's just general difficulty socializing. Yeah, Cake, go for it. What you got? I used to volunteer at an archery range, and meet, I would work alongside a lot of the same people on a weekly basis. I would just recommend this person join Discord, but how would you find friendships online? Friendships online, that's a tricky one, right? I think you need to rally behind something. You need to have, like, first and foremost is always the common interest, right? Like, for instance, Pilgrim here, he was a mod for my channel back when I was a little more active 7 years ago. And the thing is, we all used to play fighting games together. Like, I would run a channel, I would run a stream and then have like an open lobby, and like a good 10 of us would just join the lobby and take turns playing against each other. And this would rotate out. I wouldn't invite the same people, just whoever was around. And so, like, you know, we all played games together. These guys would trade, you know, gamer tag info with each other and play together, and then, you know, kind of talk and hang out with each other on the side too. So if a person was to join Discord, I think it would have to be under the same situation. Yeah, no, like, basically, you would be interested in a certain person, in a certain streamer, you join their Discord and, you know, meet other people who are into it. Yeah, no, it's not that weird a suggestion either. I don't know if that's necessarily this person's thing, but I'm gonna go with kind of the normie suggestions as a baseline because I don't think they're looking specifically for online relationships. Differences with others. But that's still something. Yeah. No, I mean, Cake Cat, it's not the weirdest thing. Like, even if it's through the filter of chat or whatever, I feel like if you gain enough familiarity, you start to home in on, you know, sort of personality tendencies, and you're kind of like, all right, you know, I like this person's takes. I think they're saying all right stuff. We got it back and forth sometimes. It's not a bad thing to have. I'm struggling on what to send this person. Send them a cat. Oh, all right. It's been about 2 hours and 40. We'll do one more request. And I'm wondering if I could change games. We'll see. We'll do this next request first. Ooh. Working in an abusive workspace. I can find another job in the same creative field, but to be honest, I want to leave it to help people. I don't have schooling to do, social work or anything, but I don't know what to do about my career. Let's see. Jay, I've been there. I've actually done a whole career switch myself. It's amazing what you can actually become despite your background. But first and foremost, you probably need an in. If you're willing to take the pay cut and start over, that is. Uh, it's not like there's always a different career for you if you look for it, but it's more about what you're willing to sacrifice, right? Like if you put 8 years into a job, hate the career and want to switch careers, you have to be willing to accept that you're going to be an entry-level grunt again. And I don't think that you'll be able to make as much money as, say, like your classmates or people who started at around the same time as you have. I actually kind of had this situation myself because I did a career restart. And so I meet a lot of people who are my age, but surprised that I make so little compared to how much they do. And like, that's what happens when you dump like 8 years of your job, you know? So you're probably, more importantly, you're going to have to be willing to take the pay cut and start over. I don't have schooling to do social work. Let's see. Friends are the best contacts, after all. More importantly, you're going to have to be willing to take the pay cut and start over career-wise. I think that's the hardest thing to get over. Even if it isn't a pride issue. You could find another job and consider volunteer work. That is true. I can find another job in the same career field, but to be honest, I want to leave it to help people. Creative field. You know what the most toxic of creative fields are entertainment. So would it shock me if they were working in movies and film? Not really, because they are notoriously abusive workplaces. Or games, yeah. As we've established in the last year, right? All kinds of sexual harassment issues to go around. Have a good night, Kit Kat. Thank you for dropping by. Hopefully we'll see you around again too. Even if it isn't a pride issue. If you want to help people, it doesn't have to be your career though. It could always be a side volunteer. Hobby. All right. Sounds good. Oh, career switches. Let's see. Give them this truck driver to symbolize jobs. How do I find motivation to do my work? Always when I end, there's always a good one. Let's see what the deer has to deliver today. So for a bit of context, and this is what's a bit galling about my current situation, is that I was taking antidepressants for a while for like depression and anxiety. And the thing was that during 2020, I was able to just go off them because I think whatever problems I tend to have, they tend to be work related. And so I was good for a while until I got a new job. Um, and I had to start going into offices again. Annoyingly, I'm back on them. Which, I mean, treatment is treatment, but you know, it's a bit of a bummer to like have gotten off and having to get back on again. So I do often wonder if this is kind of like an ever-present, lifelong situation. I'm on antidepressants for a few different reasons, and it's helped me a lot. I've thought a few times about whether I'll be taking it my whole life, and honestly, I don't think it matters. If I find myself not needing it, then great. If I do continue to need it, that's fine too. It's like taking vitamin supplements. I'm getting something I lack. And at the end of the day, as long as it makes my life easier, I don't mind being medicated. I mean, which isn't a bad take either. The thing is, I live in the United States, and, you know, that puts me in a situation where I'll always need health insurance, unfortunately. I mean, I suppose that's not different from any other time, regardless of whether, you know, I have an ongoing prescription, but still. Oh, Jay, I'm on sertraline and tazodone. Sertraline is an antidepressant, and my doctor says that some people will stop taking it and some may not. At this point in time, I get really bad without mine, so I'm not sure if I'd be able to stop taking it anytime soon. As for my other medicine, it's for insomnia, and I found that if I take it when I need it, I don't really need to use it. Take it when I need it, I don't really need to use it. I may stop that one soon. Just make sure you take... No, don't give me your real name! Oh. I appreciate your message, but please don't sign with real names on this thing. We have to keep it confidential. Ah. I'm not actually aware, do antidepressants cause dependence? It's, you know, it's the thing that lots of people are kind of afraid of when they take antidepressants, right? Like, no one likes the idea of being sort of tied to medication as sort of a permanent solution. It honestly depends on your perspective. I think if you're afraid of what you'll become without it, then yes, that is kind of the dependence there, but is it an addictive substance? I don't think so. It's something I've been able to like hop on and hop off of several times throughout my life. But there are also people who choose different types of medications to sort of treat that kind of thing. For instance, I know someone who used marijuana as a treatment for their anxiety and depression. The problem is people like marijuana to begin with. So, so does that cause a dependence? I mean, if people just like being high, then yeah. So that's kind of the weird balance you're striking when you're choosing to rely on substances for that kind of thing. Usually, though, the prescribing doctor will tell you if there are known chemical dependencies involved. But in general, antidepressants medications don't. People just tend to have a bad reaction if they don't wean off it properly. But yeah. So that was a good round there. I'm trying to think. I'm tempted to play Gunvolt 2, but I don't know if it's a good idea. I don't know if... Just because you can stream, I don't know if that means you should just stream whatever, right? We do have a precedent because I did play Gunvolt 1 already. So we got like some lore to carry out with. Maybe I'll restart the stream in that case. But yeah. To wrap up the VOD anyways, thank you guys for watching, and special thanks to Fana Fortune Girl and a Cake Cat 75 for joining the channel as well. If you end up seeing this, I hope you'll drop by again soon. But yeah, let's restart.